These vintage phones were once state-of-the-art, the offspring of that world-famous mother of invention, Bell Labs, itself a child of that mother of all monopolies, Ma Bell. And though Ma Bell is long gone, the laboratory soldiers on. Martha Teichner has its number.
It looks like some tiny, weird work of art. But this won 3 physicists from Bell Labs a Nobel Prize.
What you're looking at here is the original transistor. This was an invention from 1947. Without this, a cell phone would be the size of a building. This is the beginning of the microelectronics revolution, everything getting smaller.
Now, any idea what this is?
And this is actually a 1960s helium neon laser. And this is the first laser that would emit a visible, continuous beam of light. It would come out of the end of the laser. That's correct.
The laser was invented at Bell Labs when it was the research arm for AT&T, Ma Bell, everybody's telephone company.
So in about 10 years, we were able to shrink these types of lasers to something the size of a grain of salt.
So this became those specks?
Those tiny specks.
Edward Eckert is the archivist for Alcatel-Lucent, the AT&T spin-off that operates the labs today.
We knew at Bell Laboratories that this was going to be the next game changer in the telecommunications network.
Suddenly, data could travel at the speed of light over telephone lines, and that was just the beginning. It's hard to name an electronic device that doesn't use lasers. Thank you, Bell Labs, for that, and for fax machines, solar cells, digital cameras.
What was science fiction only 8 years ago will very shortly become a reality.
And don't forget Telstar, the first satellite to transmit television pictures. It looked like a disco ball and inspired bad music. But seriously,
I think one way to think of Bell Labs is as the world's greatest laboratory. It was a place that could do A to Z innovation.
John Gertner has written a history of Bell Labs.
Context, there are a couple of reasons it was so productive. I think, for one thing, it was attached to a monopoly, so it had an almost steady stream of dollars coming in. Another reason was that it really had the smartest people in the world working there.
Who managed to win 7 Nobel Prizes in all. Founded in 1925, Bell Labs eventually employed 25,000 people worldwide, most of them concentrated here, in and around Murray Hill, New Jersey. No bottom-line pressures meant science could take its time, but often was ahead of its time.
We are now coming to the beautiful Bell System Pavilion.
Someday, people may want to see as well as talk over the telephone.
The picture phone was at the 1964 New York World's Fair, nearly 50 years ago. And when did you get your first cell phone? In the 1990s, maybe? Even later? Well, Bell Labs devised the concept in 1947 and had an actual system up and running in Chicago in 1977.
In this telephone, I can dial anywhere I want in the world, and I've got a number. The reception is perfect.
We didn't worry about competition. We didn't worry about funding, but we worried about producing something, something that was going to matter.
Richard Frenkiel was the first Bell Labs engineer tasked with turning the concept of the cell phone into reality. He spent 30 years at Bell Labs. Monopoly is a term that tends to carry a bad connotation.
We thought we were the good guys.
American telephone and telegraph, as we know it, is no more.
AT&T was broken up in 1984. Suddenly, all that monopoly money, $4.7 billion a year in today's dollars, no longer automatic, no more passing go.
Without the monopoly, it can never be the same as it was. But I'm not saying it's worse. I'm just saying the world has moved on to a different model for how things are created. And things are getting created.
This is the equivalent of what we have on top of a cellular tower now.
Yes, all that. You've seen it.
Except it's now all in a small form factor, a small cube, about the size of a Rubik's Cube.
Bell Labs Vice President Theodore Sizer is doing some of that creating.
And I said, you know, folks, if we could make something this small, and they said, Todd, you're crazy.
But there it is, called the Light Radio. Instead of 25,000 employees, today Bell Labs employs 1,500. The scope of their research is narrower, tied to customers' needs, but their budget is still over $3 billion a year.
Are we as large in numbers as we were before? No. But the culture, the thirst for knowledge is still there. It's never left.
I think there are lessons we can learn from Bell Labs.
Author John Gertner.
Basic research and applied research can pay tremendous dividends. It can lead to products and devices and innovations that change the world.
Down through the years, Bell Labs people have received more than 17,000 patents. That's like one patent a day for 50 years.
The number is close to 30,000 now, 2,600 patents last year alone. That's 7 a day.